It's another beautiful day for baseball in Los Angeles. And baseball podcast. Josh Schaefer and Blake Harris cover everything Dodgers right here on Inside the Ravine.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Inside the Ravine. Joining me from inside a storage unit is my co-host Josh Schaefer. I'm your host, Blake Harris. Josh, I know my dad has experience on Storage Wars. Do you need him to come and appraise this little storage locker looks like you're in?
Yes, except I don't think anything of value is in the boxes, unfortunately. But yeah, so this is the setup for today. Got a bunch of boxes around at the moment. So this is where we're at. I don't know if this room has been condemned, just in case things start falling. But the lights were off and the door was shut when I walked in here, and it usually is not. So I was like, all right, well, this is my fortress of solitude for today's episode.
Yeah,
and there shouldn't be like any echo or anything too. So
looks good. Yeah, if you guys want to tune in and see like these just boxes behind Josh, head on over to the YouTube channel and check it out, because it looks
it's
like
on
if there's
every side.
If there's an earthquake, you might be screwed if there's an earthquake, because they're all going to just
that heavy.
tumble on you.
They're not heavy. Yeah, that's true.
Well, hey, I love it. So we have a jam-packed show today. We got a lot to get to. We have to recap the first week of the season for the Dodgers. Before we do that, make sure you guys hit us up on whatever social media app you guys use. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and of course we're on YouTube. Just search us up at Inside the Ravine. You guys can also catch our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, and of course we're on the Odyssey app. Josh, just like that, the first week of the season's officially in the books. Dodgers have already played 7 games. The season's going to be over before we know it, but the Dodgers are 5-2. They've looked really good so far through the first couple of series. They split with the Padres, and they took the series from the Cardinals. Currently, they're up 1-0 on the Giants. They're going today, they're going tomorrow, then they have an off day, then they travel to Chicago, and lots of more baseball coming. So, just a quick thing from you. What are just your quick takeaways and your reactions from the first 7 games of the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously early, and I think that what I'm about to say you could have considered to be a possibility before the season even started, just as a simple projection. But Mookie Betts, man, holy cow. I mean, he is once again going to make a run for NL MVP. The dude's been unbelievable. He's 13 of 25. He's got 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, 12 runs scored. He's hitting .520. He's got an OPS at 1.836. The dude's unreal. And he's also walked 8 times. Like, the start to the season that Mookie Betts is having is unreal. Of course, we're 7 games in. There's still a lot to go down. But the start that this guy has had has been unbelievable. The lineup, I mean, you've got to love what you've seen from the big 3. Obviously, Shohei Otani hasn't hit a home run yet. So it seems like the sky is falling. But we're going to give it one more episode before we have a sky is falling episode, I think. So, I think you've got to love what you've seen from the big 3. I mean, just look at last night's game, too. You look at Monday night's game. Mookie leads off with a triple, and then Shohei brings him in next batter. Little bounce out and smoke the ball, brings him in. Freddie comes up, gets a hit. It's just like that's kind of, what we're looking at from the big 3 right now. So I feel like the top of the order has been great. The bottom of the order has not really at all. But yeah, and then I think there's been really encouraging signs with what you've seen from players like Tyler Glasnow, Bobby Miller, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Like, so many guys have had really encouraging starts. And then James Paxton threw a lot of pitches in his first start as a Dodger, but he had more walks than he had hits allowed. But really, 5 run innings, like 5 scoreless innings, 4 scoreless innings, whatever it was. And he threw a lot of pitches, but he looked good. So, I think that there's been a lot of really encouraging signs through the first 7 games. And obviously, you had the 2 hiccups, the one to the Padres, the one where you kind of blew the lead to the Cardinals, but you make a comeback a day later. So, you lose one, you get one back in kind of a similar fashion. So I mean, you want to be 7-0, I think, but really 5-2, and with the signs that we've seen from the team through the first week or two of the season, I think you've got to be happy with what you've seen so far.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to settle for 160-2 at this point.
Yeah.
I'll be okay with that. But yeah, going to Mookie Betts, Josh, because you led off with him, I looked it up because I wanted to see just how good these first 7 games have been to start the season. He's second in Dodgers history through 7 games with most total bases to begin a season. I believe he currently has, I want to say, 30 total bases. Yeah, he's 30 total bases. Josh, here's some trivia for you if you want to take a guess. There's a lot of names in Dodger franchise history, so it might be a little difficult, but Mookie Betts is second all time in total bases through the first 7 games of a season. Would you like to take a guess as to who is number 1 in total bases through the first 7 games of a season?
Why don't you give me a year?
All right, the year, I believe I looked this up last night, so I might not have it exactly spot on, but I want to say it was 2015. 2015 was when this person set the record.
2015. Matt Kemp, maybe?
A good guess, not quite. I'll give you another hint. He played first base in 2015.
First base in 2015. Who was the first baseman in 2015? Adrian Gonzalez?
Adrian Gonzalez.
Adrian Gonzalez, yeah.
36 total bases through the first 7 games, and some more history. Josh, Mookie Betts is second all time as well through 7 games in times getting on base. I believe he's gotten on base 21 times through the first 7 games. Let's see, he has 13 hits. He's got 8, so 21 times. The record is 22 times. Now, Josh, we have to go back a ways to the Brooklyn days. I'll give you a hint on this one. It might be a little easier. This person on the Dodgers did something very historic when they were playing in Brooklyn.
I'm going to guess Jackie Robinson.
That is correct.
Oh,
that is correct.
Wow.
He got on base 22 times through the first 7 games. So it's quite the start for Mookie Betts. I mean, he's been fantastic. Josh, his WAR is already 1.2. So he's on pace to have, like, I don't know. I mean, we have to use our Arizona State math here, but he's on pace to have a really good season based on a 1.2 WAR in 7 games.
I'd say that's a nice way of putting it too.
He's been great. And a couple other guys that I want to mention in the offense, Josh, because this is the Dodgers offense. I saw this on Twitter last night. They've officially scored 5 runs in every game so far this year. That's the most to start a season in Dodgers franchise history. I looked it up. I think the record to start a season of scoring 5+ runs is like 12 or 13 games, and it was done by like one of those insanely good Yankees teams. So they still got a ways to go. But a lot of guys, especially at the top of the lineup, they're producing. We'll talk about Shohei Otani in a bit, but Freddie Freeman, I mean, he's off to an insane start this season. He's hitting 360. He's got a WRC plus of 177. Will Smith, which, by the way, we didn't talk about this because it happened last week, signed a 10-year contract extension. Well, he's already looking like a value because he currently is hitting, 500 through the first week of the season with a WRC plus of 195. And then you got Max Muncy, who hit the game-winning home run the other night. He's looked good so far this year. The top of this Dodgers lineup, and my biggest takeaway, Josh, is they've looked so damn good, all while Shohei Otani has essentially done nothing. So once he eventually gets going, this Dodger lineup is actually going to be insane.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a home run yet. Will Smith doesn't have a home run yet. There's a few other guys, like James Outman has 2 hits and 21 ABs. Like he hasn't been very good. Gavin Lux hasn't been very good. I mean, look at Teoscar Hernandez, too. Teoscar Hernandez has 4 home runs. So they got 7 hits total. He's got 4 home runs. He has 28 at-bats. That's like second most on the team. 13 of them have been strikeouts. He only has 7 hits, and 4 of them are home runs. Like, even he, while not playing particularly well, has obliterated the baseball. I mean, his home run Monday night went more than halfway up the left field pavilion, the 3-run homer, and he's already got 9 RBIs. So, like, Teoscar Hernandez, I mean, through 7 games has been beyond, I think, what the Dodgers need, especially for only hitting 250. Looking at the stats, I pulled up his kind of slash this morning, and I was shocked because I felt like it would be a lot better. but it's just because he's had such a big impact without being as consistent as Mookie and Will Smith and Freddie Freeman. Like, but he's
Right.
just hammering the baseball whenever he gets into one.
I mean, like you said, Josh, he's only hitting 250, but that still equates to a 161 WRC plus because he's just hitting a bunch of dingers. And
Yeah.
I tweeted this last night. He's tied for the league lead in home runs, and he's the Dodgers' number 6 hitter. I mean, the crazy thing is you talk about all these additions the Dodgers made this offseason, but they're taking Teoscar Hernandez, a guy who I guess you could say struggled last year and I think still hit like 25 home runs with the Mariners, and you're replacing David Peralta's production last year, which was essentially an occasional single and a home run once a month. I mean, with how good this Dodgers lineup is, having a guy like this hitting 6, and just like you mentioned, I think you said he struck out like 12 times already.
13, yeah.
He currently has a strikeout percentage of 43.3%. But if he's just hitting a bunch of dingers, that's something the Dodgers will take. So, I mean, again, top to bottom, it's been so good. And all this, Josh, while Shohei Otani has done essentially nothing. I mean, currently he has a WRC plus of 80. He's, hitting only 267. It does seem like every time he gets out, he is just smoking the hell out of it. I think I saw something the other day that like 4 of the hardest hit balls by Dodgers players over the last like 5 years are now officially all Shohei Otani, because if this dude grounds out, it's like 115 miles an hour off the bat. What's your level of concern with Shohei Otani struggling to the first, again, only 7 games?
I'm not really concerned at all. I mean, like you
Yeah.
said, he's just absolutely smoking the ball. He just hasn't left the park yet. And again, I mean, it goes without saying. We don't need to get into it really at all, but guys clearly had some stuff going on. Regardless of how you feel about that, if people have doubts about it, whatever. Like, he's clearly had some stuff going on, and he's still coming out there and he's absolutely smoking the ball. So it just hasn't, left the yard yet. Maybe it hasn't bounced for him yet. I'm sure he'll get there. But the bottom line is he's still having an impact without having the impact that you'd expect him to have, and the team is still winning games.
Josh, I'm on his baseball savant page right now, and
So am
again,
I.
hey, there you go. It's only 7 games, but I'm looking at his expected numbers. So he's hitting, what did I say? He's currently hitting 267 on the season. Josh, according to this, his expected batting average this year is 348. That's a pretty big gap. Usually when you look at these expected numbers, it might be a difference of like 10 to 20 points, maybe 30 points in the extreme edition. His expected batting average is almost 100 points higher than what his current batting average is. I mean, his expected slugging percentage, it's, 517. And I think, let's see, on the year, his slugging percentage is 367. So all the expected numbers say Shohei's still doing Shohei things. It's just he's hitting 115 mile an hour line drive at the second baseman. He's hitting 112 miles an hour right at the right fielder. So I'm not too concerned with Shohei. I think it's literally just because he doesn't have a home run. I feel like if he had like 1 or 2 home runs and he still had these numbers, people would be like okay with it. But it's because this dude, is one of the top home run hitters in baseball, and Miguel Rojas has a home run already and he doesn't. People are getting a little bit worried, but again, the fact that the advanced numbers back it up and he's still smoking the ball, I'm not a little bit concerned. If it's like May and he's still sitting at 0 home runs, maybe we can do our skies falling episode. But until then, yeah, I'm not worried about good old Shohei.
Yeah, well, May is now 30 days away. So if he
Yeah.
doesn't have a home run for another 30 days, and we're pushing what? That's got to be close to 30 games on the season at that point.
Yeah.
I think then that is a completely justified sky is falling episode.
There you go. So Shohei, he'll turn things around. He'll figure things out. But we talked about the top of the lineup, Josh. Mookie's been great. Freddie's been great. Will Smith, Max Muncy, Teoscar. The bottom of the Dodgers lineup has been the complete opposite. I tweeted this last night saying, if you want to go and look at the bottom of the lineup, brace for impact, proceed with caution. As Ron Burgundy once said, hide the children. They are coming through the back door. It's not great. It doesn't matter who the Dodgers have hitting 7 through 9. It's been bad, Josh. I mean, we'll start with James Outman, who This one is the crazy one to me, and again, it's really tough when you have such a small sample size. But James Outman looks so good during spring training. But ever since the season started, I think Josh, you said he only has 2 base hits. I mean, he's hitting 0.95. He has a negative -0.2 WAR, a 28 WRC plus, and he just looks completely lost at the plate. And this is a guy the Dodgers are relying on to be their everyday outfielder. He's essentially being platooned now every time there's a lefty on the mound. Uh, James Outman, are you at all a little bit concerned with what you've seen in the first week or so?
Yeah, a little bit. I just don't think he's been very good at all.
No.
But really, like, the bottom of the lineup just hasn't been very good at all. Obviously, Lux has 4 hits in 23 ABs. Chris Taylor has 1 hit on the season in 9 ABs. And I know that he's been platooned a little bit, and Kike Hernandez has gotten some at bats, but Kike hasn't been very good either. So I'm kind of looking at Kike and Taylor as kind of interchangeable at this point for me. That's all honestly like kind of one spot in the lineup just because they both got 1 hit in like 7 ABs. So that one isn't that big of a deal for me. But Lux hasn't been very good. Outman hasn't been very good. Those two guys together have combined for now 6 hits and 11 strikeouts in 7 games. So neither one of them have been very good. I think obviously Lux is probably going to get. Again, we talked about the throws coming in from short or from second, and we've been a little bit concerned with that in the past. But I'm starting to get more concerned about him and Outman, just the way they've been hitting at the bottom of the lineup. And again, it's baseball. Like, guys go through slumps. I'm sure they can break
Yeah.
out of that very quickly. And again, when a guy breaks out of a slump, he's going to go on a tear for a week. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. So right now, through the first couple of weeks, it's just, you know, haven't been having very good at bats at all. And I want to say in last night's game, Outman drove a ball to like the wall in like the
Yeah.
eighth inning or something like that. So it was like, all right, like we just haven't really seen that from him yet. We just haven't seen really any good at bats. And then he ends up coming up, and after having a terrible game up to that point, he actually has a good at bat, and then he sends the ball to the warning track in center field or
Yeah.
right center, wherever it was. So it was like, all right, it's a little bit more encouraging. But right now, I mean, he just hasn't been very consistent at the bottom of the lineup at all. And really, whoever's been batting in those bottom spots at 7, 8, and 9 have just not been very reliable at the moment.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, like James Outman was really good during spring training. I pulled up the numbers in 40 plate appearances, hit 300, OPS of 950, had 2 home runs. It's just again maybe been a bad week, but like Josh said, he had a good at bat last night where he just smoked the hell out of it. It was just caught. I am concerned, Josh, with Gavin Lux, just because I think we've seen a large enough sample size going back to spring training. Spring training. I tweeted this out the other night, and I think now there's a couple games to add to the sample size. Since the start of spring training, he has about 70 plate appearances, and he has only 1 extra base hit. Now I know you don't like to count spring training stats because they officially don't count, but 70 plate appearances is a pretty good sample size, and the fact that he has 1 extra base hit. I mean, so far this year, he has a -3 WRC plus. He's hitting 174, doesn't even have a walk yet. And with his defense, Josh, I don't know how well you're able to see this last night, but there must have been 3 or 4 throws where they weren't errors. Like, they weren't errors, but Freddie Freeman had to scoop them. He had to, dive down and kind of save them. It's just been a rough go for Gavin Lux. And defensively, we know that obviously he had to move from shortstop to second base. He has, considering some of the throws he was making, but I'm just concerned with his bat because this is a guy at least the Dodgers don't need to be an all-star caliber guy at the plate, but he has shown no signs of any sort of power. And like I mentioned, he doesn't have a walk this year. He's not having a gray eye at the plate. I just how much bigger of a sample size or how much more of a leash do you personally give him before you really think to yourself like, okay, this is a problem that the Dodgers really need to start taking a deeper look at?
I think we're getting very close to seeing him. I mean, they played 7 games. He's got 6 appearances so far, right? So he's appeared in 6 of the 7. I think we're getting close to maybe seeing both Chris Taylor and Kike Hernandez in the starting lineup at the same time, and somebody else starting at second base, one of those two. And is that going to be a long term thing? I don't know, but something's just not going right for Gavin Lux right now. I'm not at the point where it's like send him down. Like it's been
Yeah.
7 games, and I don't even think we get to that point, anyway. But I wonder if he gets a little bit less playing time, just see what one of these other guys can do in the lineup. Let them have a chance to get hot, right? Because like we
Yeah.
said, both Chris Taylor and Kike Hernandez have not been great either, but they also, haven't had nearly as many at bats as Gavin Lux. Like the two of those guys combined have 16 ABs. Gavin Lux is in 23. So I wonder if maybe you start giving those guys some more at bats, give them an opportunity to play, get some opportunities to get to see more pitches. Or do you just want Gavin Lux to do that and think that maybe things are going to come around for him? I'm not really sure yet, but for me, I think that you got to give it another week or so, another series or two, finish out the series with the Giants, go into the next series and kind of see where Lux is at, because right now he just hasn't been very good. And you're right, like the throws have been inconsistent. They haven't resulted in really many errors right now, but it just seems like he's got something up. And I'm not going to say the Y word, but
Yeah.
but something just doesn't seem totally right at the moment.
Yeah. And again, you're not going to send him down, but it's just watching the spring training games. I know he had like a home run, I think, in like the second to last game or something like that, but a lot of his hits during the spring were like infield singles that the fielders just couldn't field. They were like blue pits. I mean, he's just shown no real signs of power or making any sort of hard contact. And again, the good thing is he doesn't have to be a guy that produces all-star caliber numbers at the plate. But like I mentioned, it's a 70 plate appearance sample size right now, and one extra base hit. I mean, Miguel Rojas, we know that offensively, he's not your best option, but defensively, he's a Gold Glove caliber guy. He's giving you the same production at the plate that Gavin Lux is giving you at this point. So if that's the case, you might as well go with whatever your best defensive output is. So Gavin Lux, hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, is able to kind of turn things around, kind of figure things out, because having a -3 WRC plus and a -8 OPS plus, that's like really bad. Josh, we haven't even taken any plate appearances, but our OPS plus is at 0. So we're more valuable offensively right now at the moment than Gavin Lux is. So he's only my main concern. Like Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez, their sample size is, smaller. I'm not too worried because those are guys that have proven they can be more than capable hitters. But yeah, Gavin Lux, I think that is one to keep an eye on. One final name, Josh, that I want to throw out there is Jason Heyward, who he's really struggled so far this season as well. His WRC plus is currently 11. He's only hitting 214. Had a really, really bad spring. He might be hitting the injured list. As of right now, it's 115 on Tuesday. We don't know what the deal is with him, but he was pulled from last night's lineup, I think with like a back issue. I think was the official diagnosis. He was supposed to undergo testing, I think today or yesterday. Hasn't come out yet, but the Dodgers, right before we recorded this episode, actually claimed Taylor Trammell, former outfielder from the Mariners. They claimed him off of waivers, and if you're claiming a guy off waivers after a guy was supposed to undergo testing, I don't know, Josh. I'm not a genius, but that kind of leads to me thinking Jason Heyward might be missing some time on the IL soon.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible, and that's kind of the first thing that I thought when I saw the Dodgers were claiming Taylor Trammell, which I think, obviously Trammell can play the position well. Everything that we've heard from him is that he's a stand-up guy, great to have around. Our friends who cover the Mariners have kind of relayed some information to us, but at the same time, like this is a guy who was a former first-round pick and was once a very highly touted prospect. So if you're going to add somebody off of waivers, even if it's just for the time being, and you don't really know what's up with Jason Heyward, I say, why not give Trammell an opportunity here? He's played, I wouldn't say a pretty significant role in the majors before, but he's had over 100 ABs in 2 of the last 3 seasons with the Mariners. Last year, he was not very good. He just hasn't been very good at the plate overall. But again, ultimately, like this is a depth opportunity for the Dodgers because again, they've got a lot of utility guys. They've got guys like Taylor and Kike Hernandez, and now, obviously we just talked about Gavin Lux at second base and what that could mean there. But you go and you get Taylor Trammell, and maybe he gets an opportunity here if Jason Heyward is out for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Josh, only 116 career games, so not a whole lot of experience. I'm looking at his numbers, and this absolutely is just insane to me. In 2022, he appeared in 43 games, posted an OPS plus of essentially 100, so he was a league average hitter, while hitting 196.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that was possible. So clearly he doesn't hit for average, but he has a lot of power. I mean, he has a 162 game average of 21 home runs, 22 doubles. So he has a lot of power. I believe he was a top 100 prospect at one point, was considered one of the top Mariners prospects. Didn't necessarily pan out with them. Maybe things work out with the Dodgers. He doesn't have any options remaining, so the Dodgers, that's a little bit interesting to keep an eye because they can't just send him down. So maybe Taylor Trammell turns into something. We'll have to wait and see. But essentially, that's everything in regards to the Dodgers offense that I wanted to touch on, Josh. Again, they've been really good. A couple players have been kind of bad. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up, just talking about the pitching side of things and a couple of guys that have impressed you, and maybe a couple guys that have not impressed you through the first week of the season. All right, Josh, we are back. Let's wrap things up. We just talked about the hitting. Let's switch things over to the pitching side of things. This past weekend against the Cardinals, the Dodgers starting rotation. I don't think you could have asked for anything better from the starters. Tyler Glasnow, Bobby Miller, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Gavin Stone, all four of them absolutely shoved. Josh, out of the four names I just mentioned, who was the one that really impressed you the most this weekend?
Well, I think Bobby Miller. I think Bobby Miller, he just had so much good stuff. He got a bunch of swings and misses. He was able to kind of rack up the strikeouts a little bit too. He finished with 11 in six
Yeah.
innings. He was just good, man. He was really, really good. I really think all of them were good. Obviously, Yamamoto had to start in South Korea. That was not very good. I thought this last game was a lot better. Tyler Glasnow, the first game, I thought he looked really good too. I mean, just watching his first two innings, I was thinking, like, man, this guy is something. Like, he is going to be such a huge addition for this team. But really, I was really impressed with Bobby Miller. I mean,
Yeah.
I think those first two innings for him were probably, if you were to take a very small, if you wanted to take a 2 inning sample size, and you wanted to say, like, this is the best 2 innings of a guy's career, that was them. His first 2 innings the other night, I thought were so
Yeah.
good. I had multiple people text me that. I think you texted me that. And he just looked nasty, just absolutely filthy through those first 2 innings. And obviously he goes 6 scoreless and gets a win.
Yeah, I'm upset, Josh, that you took my answer because Bobby Miller was mine. All offseason, we've talked about Glasnow, Yamamoto being an insane 1-2 punch, but Bobby Miller came out and he looked the best this weekend. Like you said, 11 strikeouts, that was a career high, 6 scoreless innings, only allowed 2 hits. And we saw flashes last season of Bobby Miller really looking like a young, promising starting pitcher, but there was never really that one game where you were like, no, this guy is going to be a potential Cy Young candidate in the future. It was always kind of like, he'll be good. He'll be a good piece. But this was like pure domination from Bobby Miller, and it just left me wanting more. Like, I already just want to see his next start. I want to see how he follows up. But again, I'm just going to take those 2 games in Seoul, Josh, and I'm just going to wipe them off because it seems like every pitcher
Yeah.
that threw just did not have their best stuff. So Tyler Glasnow, he comes back, and yeah, I think you texted me on opening day saying, like, this is absolutely filthy. Like, this is disgusting what he's doing right now. He looked unhittable. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I'm very upset about the rain because the dude was cruising. And of course, there was like the first rain delay in a decade, and then he ended up only able to go 5 innings. I thought Yoshinobu Yamamoto looked the best he's looked probably since putting on a Dodger uniform. And Gavin Stone, when you look at the numbers, I tweeted this the other day because I wanted people to know. You look at the numbers and you see, wow, a 5.40 ERA on the season. He allowed 7 hits and 3 runs in 5 innings. That's horrible. But his FIP for the game was 1.71. He struck out a career high 6 batters. Josh, of the 7 hits that he allowed, 6 of them were, I think, 84 miles an hour or weaker. And a hard hit ball is considered 95 miles an hour. So essentially, every hit that he allowed, the Cardinals were just barely hitting it, and they were just getting extremely lucky. So Gavin Stone, we talk about Bobby Miller kind of being a forgotten name. Gavin Stone is the guy where if he continues to stay in the rotation, I know there's some injuries to some guys. I know it might be a little bit of a hot take, but he could be a potential rookie of the year candidate if he gets enough starts by the end of the year, because we've seen the stuff play in the minors over the years. Obviously, last year when he came up, things didn't go too well for him. But Gavin Stone has the stuff to be a really good starting pitcher. And despite allowing 3 runs and 7 hits in only 5 innings, I was very impressed from Gavin Stone. Just like Bobby Miller, I want more. Like I'm still hungry, Josh. Feed me more Gavin Stone and Bobby Miller.
Well, obviously, I think the thing with Gavin Stone too is, at least in my mind, when the Dodgers start to get healthy, at the front end of games, and you've got guys like Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw that are going to be back in the conversation. I wonder what that means for Gavin Stone. But if we just put those two guys out of mind, at least for now, I think that we're going to have a lot of opportunities to see Gavin Stone as a starting pitcher. And I'm excited to see that because he has looked really, really good as well. So really pleased with that. I mean, the starting pitching in general, I thought was really good. I mentioned it earlier too. James Paxton threw 100 pitches on Monday night against the Giants, but he was good. He got a win, scoreless outing. Wasn't super clean, but he walked more guys than he gave up hits. So I don't know if you want to take that as a positive thing or a negative thing, but like those were the only kind of jams that he was in. Was not even giving up hits. It was just when he walked a couple of guys. So even James Paxton, it's going to be an adjustment too. First year with the Dodgers for him, and I thought that he was reliable as well. So I think we've seen a lot of really encouraging things from the starting pitching as well. And the bullpen, I think, has had a few question marks, but really like nothing too critical.
Yeah, with James Paxton, it's like two sides to it, Josh. You can be like, my God, the dude allowed, what, 9 base runners last night in only 5 innings. But then you look at it and you can go, the dude was pretty bad last night, and he threw 5 scoreless innings. What's going to happen when he actually looks good on the mound?
Yeah.
Maybe so. That'll be interesting to see moving forward. I just want to wrap things up, Josh, with the bullpen. Looking through a couple of things. Daniel Hudson's really looked good. He has 3 scoreless outings, has a couple of saves, I think. Evan Phillips has looked good. Joe Kelly, ERA of 17. In 2 2/3 innings, he's allowed 5 runs and 7 hits. Are you worried about Joe Kelly? Is it just too small of a sample size, or do we need to maybe pump the brakes with the wild thing, number 99?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. And certainly last night against the Giants wasn't much better. Giving up a run in his 1 inning of relief, 3 hits, it wasn't great. The one thing was that the game obviously was not over, but the Dodgers were up by quite a bit at that point. So I think that's one thing that you can kind of be like, all right. But yeah, the game the other night, 4 earned runs, 3 hits and a walk, and got 2 outs. It was not encouraging at all. I'm not worried yet. He's only pitched in 3 games. But hey, last night his ERA was at like 28. Now it's at 17. So it's going down.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
And hey, at least the Dodgers have been able to turn to 2 former Padres, Nabil Crismatt and Dinelson Lamet as well, who both pitched scoreless outings.
Yeah, Crismatt, I know already got the DFA, and I tweeted this out. This is a fun bar trivia if anyone out there ever wants to use this. But currently, unless he gets picked up by the Dodgers again, Nabil Crismatt is going to finish his Dodger tenure as the only pitcher in franchise history with a career ERA of 0 and a win. So hey, he made Dodgers history, Josh. He made Dodger history. My one final thing I want to say on this bullpen, Josh, I want to know what your level of concern is. So the reason that Joe Kelly got absolutely lit up the other night was because Dave Roberts had to keep him in because he didn't trust Alex Vesia in that situation. Well, as of today, because apparently to make the Taylor Trammell move, the Dodgers released Matt Gage, who is one of only a handful of lefties currently on the 40-man. Well, with him gone, the only lefties you have are Ryan Yarbrough, who's going to be the long man, who's not going to be pitching 1 inning out of the bullpen, and Alex Vesia. Outside of that, there are no other lefties. Josh, I was going to ask, if you're a lefty, you probably can head on down to Dodger Stadium and audition for the team because they desperately need a lefty. Alex Vesia so far this year has an ERA rate just below 4, has a FIP of 650, has not looked great. How big of a deal do you think it is that the Dodgers at the moment have no lefties outside of Alex Vesia that they can turn to for this bullpen?
it's certainly a little bit concerning. Um, I'm interested to see how things play out over the next couple of weeks. And again, with the way that the Dodgers have been adding, or they've been optioning and then adding and then releasing and then adding and then releasing these last couple of days when it comes to the pitchers. I mean, remember, they went to Kyle Hurt, optioned him immediately.
Wait, Josh, hold on. Does Michael Grove have dirt on Andrew Friedman or something? Or did Kyle Hurt, make a comment about someone's wife? Because Kyle Hurt, the other night, he absolutely shoved. I think he technically got the loss because of the stupid extra inning rule, but I think he threw 2 2/3 innings, didn't allow an earned run, had 3 strikeouts, looked unhittable. He gets sent down. Michael Grove has an ERA of 21 this year. He gets to stay up. Josh, maybe you can attest to this. Maybe Kyle Hurt, when he was in Chatham, was just mean to you. But
No.
I don't. What am I missing here? Why is he getting sent down when Michael Grove is the one that gets to stay up?
Yeah, that's kind of something that's been making me scratch my head a little bit. Yeah, I mean, Michael Grove obviously struggled last year too, and I think that everything we've seen from Kyle Hurt at the major league level has been pretty good, and has certainly been encouraging. And the last few years, I just haven't been super impressed with Michael Grove. I think maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable using him because of the sample size. Now, granted, the sample size is not very good, but he has pitched in over 100 big league innings. So I think maybe that's the reason why. But
Josh, would you like to share with me what his ERA is in those 100 innings?
Yeah, I mean, it's 6.13. It's not good, Blake. I'm not going to say that it is.
No.
Yeah. No, it's and his whip is 152.
Oh.
So it's not good.
Hey, Kyle Hurt has a career 1.35 ERA.
That's true.
Granted,
smaller sample size, though.
Yeah, only 6 innings, but I don't know. That one just blows my mind again. I'm sure there's some reason behind this, but I don't get it. I want to know. I want to know, but hey. We have to find something to complain about, Josh, when the Dodgers are 5-2 and they're already in cruise control to winning the NL
I'm
West.
sure you and I, if we really put our heads together, I'm sure we could find something to complain about.
Yeah, we could find a whole bunch more. Just wait till the Dodgers release their lineup tonight, and Austin Barnes is in there, Gavin Lux is in there, Chris Taylor's in there, Taylor Trammell's making his debut, he's in there. Then we'll complain.
Taylor Trammell bats as the DH. Shohei gets the night off.
Hey, it's coming. It's coming. Josh, any final words or anything in regards to the Dodgers for the first week? But we've hit a lot, but if there's any final things you want to say.
Had a perfect view at the game last night, sitting right over by the right field foul pole on the loge level, and had a perfect view of the SpaceX launch over Dodger Stadium. So it's pretty good.
I saw.
Pretty good.
I saw.
Yeah.
I saw what Elon was sending up there. How was the environment in the crowd in the Shohei era? Is there a lot of different food options? What's different there at Dodger Stadium?
I pretty much stayed put over by right field. Didn't do too much walking around. But it certainly does seem like there's a lot more options. I actually saw somebody tweet today that there's like a birria burger now. So
interesting.
So that might need to be tried.
Yes.
So,
amen.
Yes.
Put beer on anything and I'm in, but that does wrap up this week's edition of Inside the Ravine. Again, make sure you guys find us on whatever social media app you guys use, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just look us up at Inside the Ravine. You'll find all the clips from the show. Make sure to listen to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, and of course, we're on the Odyssey app. For Josh Schaefer, this has been Blake Harris. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys in a future episode very soon. And as always, we hope you enjoy the rest of your week, wherever you may be.